Thank you for joining us. Today we have uh, Joyce Griggs, who's running for the first Georgia congressional district. Thank you for joining us today. Um,
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to tell our viewers about your campaign?
Yes, I sure would. I am Joyce Griggs. I'm running for U.S. Congress, 1st Congressional District of Georgia. And this district consists of 17 counties. And it goes from Savannah, Georgia, all the way down to the coast of Georgia. And boy, it consists of rural, urban, Savannah being the largest city in the district. And what I would like to say about the campaign is just a little bit about me. I am a retired lieutenant colonel, combat veteran, and I deployed to Iraq 3 times. I'm a Bronze Star recipient, and I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a law degree. And I used to practice law. And in any event, I ran in 2000, but they redrew the district. In other words, they gerrymandered the district. And what they did was they gerrymandered the district so it could become a Republican district. That's what they did. Well, so here I am in 2020. And I'm excited. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go because I see a lot of changes that need to be made in this district. Unfortunately, I do not believe that my opponent has the best interest of the people at heart. They are, in my opinion, I'm saying my opinion, he is more profit over people. And the people are suffering. Well, as we know during the pandemic, people are suffering throughout the country. And especially in a lot of these rural areas, okay, smaller areas where jobs were already hard to get anyway. And the few jobs that were there, a lot of them closed down because there were a lot of mom and pop stores. So small businesses. And as a result of the pandemic, a lot of things closed down. And the rural areas are hurting. Also, in the rural areas, healthcare is a big issue. A lot of rural hospitals have closed. They don't even have adequate and affordable healthcare. They have to travel to larger cities. For example, some come to Savannah, some travel to Jacksonville, Florida. Okay, and I would like to point out that in this district, the maternal mortality rate is very high, especially among African American women. Georgia is considered one of the worst places for a woman to have a baby. Black women die twice as much as white women in this area. Okay, so that's kind of sad. But this district is very diverse. We've never had a woman, nor have we had a person of color in this district. Unfortunately, it's as if the representative now is out of touch with the people. During this campaign, I'll share with you, yes, the pandemic has been going on, but we've been doing as much as we possibly can and observing social distancing, okay? We've been doing a lot of texting, a lot of emailing, a lot of phone calls, and when we can, when there are gatherings, they are outside gatherings. And so we meet with people outside with the mask and, of course, proper social distancing. And we are developing relationships. It's not just you see me during this campaign season, but we're developing relationships with people. And we have some real good relationships. And that's what I like because I'm people oriented. And I would like to say this. I am a servant for the people. I've always served. I've served my country over 33 years. And I used to practice law. And while I practiced law, I served the people. I did a lot of things for people. A lot of people could not afford a lawyer. You had the disenfranchised, the poor people, the least of these. And a lot of them didn't even know sometimes the law. Well, they didn't know the law. And of course, sometimes they would go in the courtroom and they just didn't understand. So I took on cases like that and I didn't get paid, but I did it from my heart because I saw there was a need that somebody needed to advocate for the people. And I was an advocate. And I would like to say that I am a servant. I was born a servant, and serving is what I do. And I get excited. I am enriched myself by serving others and by empowering other people. And so That's what I do. I serve people. And it's not about, this congressional race is not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about fortune. It's about the people. And no, this election is not about me, but it's the hardworking people of this first congressional district, about health care, about our environment. Some people call climate change a hoax, but it is not a hoax. It is a reality. Some people have even called COVID-19, the virus, a hoax, but it is not. Look at how many Americans have died, over 200,000 and counting. And look at how many have been infected. Millions of people in this country have been infected. So these issues are real. And then also, we're fighting right now, the Senate, they're fighting about appointing a new Supreme Court justice. Right now, I say there are more important, more critical issues than nominating someone for the Supreme Court. What about the people that are getting evicted? What about the people that can't buy food? What about those that don't have medical care? So those are my concerns. I said the Supreme Court nomination can wait. We need to deal with the present issues. We have some serious present issues. Let's talk about social and criminal justice reform. I would like to point out that I have stood in rallies. We've had caravans throughout Southeast Georgia for justice. And also Ahmaud Arbery. Those gentlemen would have walked away, gotten away with murder, had that video not surfaced and someone pushed it, okay? Because they murdered Ahmaud Arbery and tried to cover it up. I was up in Brunswick, Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery, his family. As a matter of fact, I've been with him several times. And I stand for criminal and social justice reform. And we must change it. We must reform it at the highest level, including the congressional levels. We must do something. We must hold police and their departments and their supervisors accountable. I tell people, we must get away from this qualified immunity. You know why? Because that immunes the police from lawsuit. In other words, they don't have to pay when they injured or damage or even kill someone's loved one. So they have this immunity. I say make them get an insurance like lawyers and doctors and then use that. Also, they need to be better training. I say let's institute a standardized training. And if they don't want to do that, these police department, let's withhold money from them. I said let's demilitarize the police department. We're giving the police department, a lot of military equipment. Boy, you look like you're in a combat zone sometimes, okay? And this is America. That should not be. We must have criminal and social justice reform. Also, there's a lot of people in jail. America is supposed to be the greatest country, but do you not know we have more people in prison than any other country? And this is supposed to be a democracy. But in any event, I grew up in a very poor family. There were 10 of us. We worked in the fields. My mom nor dad had a high school education. And we worked in the fields to get school clothes and in order to eat. And one day in the field, I looked up and I told Mama, I said, Mama, I'm going to college and get an education, and I'm not coming back to this. Not that I thought I was better, but I knew, and sometimes you just know that there's something better for you to do. Because I believe I was born to help empower people, to help empower my neighbors, to help empower my children, your children, people that I don't even know, with the knowledge and experience and education that I have. And it's not about me, as I said before. I can't be bribed and I can't be bought. And I have not taken corporate PAC money, because when a candidate takes corporate PAC money, that corporate PAC, that corporation owns them. In other words, they have to do what that corporation says, and they're not working for the people. And the people are elected to various positions to represent the people, and too often they're not. And I'll be quiet on that unless you ask me some more questions.
No, thank you so much. You clearly feel very passionate about this race. So
yes,
2000, and you're running again now. Would you
yes.
say that the district has changed a lot since the 2000 election?
Well, yes, it has changed in the sense that because of the gerrymandering, it used to be more people of color in the district at one time. So they gerrymandered it. So they said supposedly it is a safe Republican district. That's what they're saying. So they gerrymandered to that effect. But I do believe that we can flip this district to blue.
Would you say that your campaign has given a lot of people in your district a lot of hope that
Yes,
change is possible?
yes, yes, we have. We are, as a matter of fact, we are giving them hope. We're developing relationships as we go along. We're talking to people. We're listening to the people, to hearing what they're saying, what their needs are, and we're empowering them. They're getting excited. They really are. They said, boy, we got someone that will really listen to us, someone that care about us. So they are getting it. Oh, they're fired up. They're getting fired up. They're fired up. Yes.
You also mentioned the importance for criminal justice reform and all of that. And if you're elected, what specifically do you think you want to do to reform the whole system?
Well, what I would like to do is, number one, is we have standardized training for the police officers right here in Georgia at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Uh, that's where they train the federal law enforcement officers. But I say let's develop a program there to train the state police officers. And they must, I don't want to say that, they must pass that training. And then also, what I would like to see, and then each state, each municipality should adopt the best practices from that training, from those courses, and implement it in their local police department. And if they don't want to implement it, let's withhold funds from them. Also, what I would like to see is the fact that we have a database set up. I would work on making sure we have a database set up. So those officers that were on a prior police department and there was misconduct, we have them in that database. As a matter of fact, I was listening today, there was an officer, oh gosh, he killed this teenager, said that the teenager had shot at him, but then he hadn't, but they wouldn't charge him. But they said this officer had killed 3 or 4 other people. So he shouldn't even still be on the police. Something is wrong if you got to kill that many people, you know? So I would push to have a database set up to record and track those officers that have had misconduct charges, of had police brutality or murders or killings in another department, so they don't just jump from department to department. And I also think that a lot of police officers need psychological testing even before they go on to the police department. They must have that proper training. They must have testing. We must have a database to track them. And I say we make it mandatory for them to have insurance, so that the family, if they kill them, that the family can go and sue them in civil court and hopefully get a recovery. And I know it won't bring their loved one back, you know, but then there's some that's injured also. But no matter what, when we start holding not only that officers, but we start holding their supervisors accountable also.
Thank you. Connecting with that issue, I remember we had interviewed a candidate last week, and she'd said in her race that a lot of police officers often sport military haircuts or are really very, very violent based, or often are kind of drawn to this whole idea that the reaction to stopping crime is through violence. Do you think that the militarization of the police is also an issue that ties in?
Yes, and that's why I said I think we need to demilitarize the police department. Okay, we're giving them a lot of our equipment, and I guess they're embracing some of our trainings and stuff in the military. Well, bottom line is we're not in a combat zone. I say let's implement more community-based policing. And those that are willing to do that, yeah, let's provide more monies for them. They get to know the people in that community, and the people in that community know that officer. And right now, I'll be honest with you, most people are afraid, apprehensive of police officers. Some of them don't even want to call police officers because they're afraid something's going to happen. Look at what happened in certain cases. People have called police. I think this guy called the police about his brother. He was acting erratic. They killed the young man. And that wasn't what his brother or his family wanted. They wanted the young man to get help, and we need to make sure they're properly trained in mental, or have somebody be able to call someone to help them intervene in mental health issues, because there's a lot of mental health issues out here. They definitely need training in de-escalating a situation.
Thank you. Transitioning from that, you spoke about mental health. And the thing is, a lot of Americans, and especially a lot of Georgians, can't receive proper mental health healthcare. What do you think you would like to do to make sure that Georgians receive more mental health and just better healthcare
Right.
in general?
Well, what I would say is that um, even under the Affordable Care Act, okay, I've been saying, especially during this pandemic, instead of trying to get rid of it, let's just expand it, have open enrollment, and let's make sure we have a special provisions for mental health treatment. Because even during this pandemic, I was reading where a lot of people are committing more suicides, okay? Domestic violence has increased. So we need to make sure we have a good, viable program that provide mental health services to the people. See, because people not only hurting sometimes physically, they're hurting emotionally. So we need to make sure we take care of those people and provide enough funding to do that.
Do you think also that more funding should be provided for veterans? As often veterans suffer through a lot of mental health conditions coming back from war. Do you think more money should be allocated towards that?
Oh, sure. Let me say this, been a veteran myself and haven't been in Iraq. There's an adjustment. Uh, what's there is not what's here. The reality is different, okay? And veterans are suffering. And some of them have been deployed 4, 5, 6 times in a combat zone. So there's a lot of issues going on. So they're coming back to what was their normal environment. They just came out of an abnormal environment back to a normal environment, so to speak. And it's not mixing. There's a lot of conflict there. There's a lot of issues associated with it, and we need to make healthcare available by whatever means necessary to the veterans that's coming back from war, and make sure that we have some intervention, more intervention for suicide prevention, also for domestic violence. We've got to take care of them. Got to take care of us. Let me put it like that, because I'm a part of the veterans.
Thank you also first. I forgot to say this, but thank you for your service again. What you did for your country was really great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So moving to education, especially as we hit the pandemic, I asked this to who interviewed. How do you see education during the pandemic? Do you support shutting down schools, or what do you support doing?
Well, it's actually this pandemic. It's just been hard on everybody, and I say listen to the science. And if we're saying that if we send our children back to school and they're getting sick, I mean, really, I like to point out this. Even during normal course of events, especially a lot of the young children, let's say preschool and kindergarten and places like that, a lot of children get sick when they're around other children. One child may have a virus or whatever, and another child will get it, and then it spreads. So I say right now we need to listen to the science, and when it's safe for us to fully reopen the schools, let's do that. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I say right now, if the science say we need to keep the children home a little longer, let's do that. As a matter of fact, up in New York, just recently, they started closing some schools. I think it was New York. They started closing schools down again because there were some hotbeds and people were getting sick again. So I say, let's listen to the science. And I know sometimes we like to take chances. We want to get back to as normal as we can. But this pandemic is serious. It's real. It has killed over 200,000 people in America alone. And America is supposed to be leading the way for other countries. So I say, let's listen to the science. And when the science says it's safe enough to get back in school, and I know right here in Savannah, they're doing kind of like a hybrid plan. They're going to school a couple of days and then they're home doing the Zoom calls, the virtual schooling. So they're doing both right now to see how it's going to work. But I say that, boy, if we start getting a flare up in the virus, come on, let's take some other steps.
How would you rate the United States' overall reaction to the COVID-19 virus?
The people, I think, the American people have taken it seriously, okay? But our president, the present administration, I would give them F minus F, okay? Because they knew about it early on. But then they said it was a Democratic host endangering and killing a lot of people when it shouldn't have been that way. Matter of fact, I'm sure there's many lives that could have been saved. Many people that probably would not have gotten infected had the truth been told from the beginning. And yeah, sometimes we don't like to hear bad things, but I'd rather have the truth and live than a lie and die. Okay? And it's been horrible. Even our state governor, it's been horrible. You know, suing the mayor of Atlanta. I mean, come on. There's more important things to do with the taxpayers' money than bringing a lawsuit. Now, the mayor of Savannah, Mayor Johnson, has done a very good job. He's gotten a lot of flack, a lot of harassment, if you will, from the decisions he's made. But I believe he's made good decisions because, yeah, even though we've had quite a few deaths and infections here, it's not like a lot of other places. I think he was very proactive in what he did, and we have not been proactive. Another thing I would like to point out is that President Obama had a pandemic task force in place. The present administration disbanded it, I guess because he hated president, for whatever reason. I'm not even going to speculate. But now he went back and created another one. But see, I was listening to a tape. Even President Obama said, we need this task force. Mark my word, we're going to have another one in the future. And sure enough, we did. Okay. So if that had been in place, we would have had things in place early on so we could start responding. And I know the pandemics are different. You know, there's been different viruses out there, but at least we would have had people in place. We got experts. And I say, I'm not an expert in those matters. Let's listen to the expert. And unfortunately, the administration doesn't want to listen to the expert, and you have to. You know, this is the free world. And we withdrew from the World Health Organization. We need that interaction with those other countries because we keep each other informed of what's going on. And then also, if there's some cutting edge technologies or medicines that they know about, they share with us, and vice versa. That's what it's all about. This thing is global. This is a global pandemic, and we can't be isolated. We must work with our allies in other countries.
Thank you. So I was just talking to all my friends at school, and I was asking, what is the most important issue to them? And a lot of them said climate change. Now, you spoke earlier about climate change and how it's definitely an important issue.
Yes.
But what do you think should be done by the United States around climate change?
Well, there's a lot of issues that we can do, right? This global warming is serious, okay? But this emission control, I mean, gosh, that is really bad. And a lot of these factories, they are polluting the environment to a horrible degree. And we need to put more regulations on some of these factories that's polluting the air. They're polluting our water. They're doing a lot of dangerous things to us. Matter of fact, there was a study done, I read it a couple of months ago, that during the pandemic, that the number of people, the air quality had improved tremendously, okay? Because you didn't have as many people driving, and the emissions emanated in the air, et cetera, et cetera. And people that, of course, have asthma that live in those areas where the pollution is horrible, they're really more susceptible, you know, to especially this pandemic with the breathing issues. But I think that what we need to do is we need to work collectively with other countries on this climate change. And I know we pulled out of the agreement with Paris. We pulled out of the Paris Accord. I believe we need to rejoin that, okay? And we need to work together because, again, we are not isolated. And what may be working in another country may be similar issues that we're having here. But we're interconnected. This thing is global. So we can work together. We can share and exchange ideas for the betterment of mankind, because not only a lot of our animals, wildlife, becoming extinct, okay? We may very well become extinct with the way this climate changes. Look at the North Poles and stuff, polar bears. Okay, the Arctic is melting. The rainforest is, some of those are on fire. Look at all the fires. I mean, look at the floods. Look at the hurricanes. It's crazy. And even right here in the United States. So I say we need to also work with other countries on the overall global climate climate change issue and also implement our very own. We also need to strengthen again the Environmental Protection Agency. This administration gutted the Environmental Protection Agency, and we need it. And we must work with other agencies and other countries on this global climate change. It's changing fast, you know? It's changing. Flooding is changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think that I don't want to keep you too long, but I think that there's just two more points, two more questions that I'd like to ask you. One question is around gun control. So,
Yes.
what is your position on gun control? Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I do believe in the Second Amendment. Okay. We do have the right to bear arms. However, we've gone crazy. And I asked the question, does anyone need an AR-15? Does anyone need these high-power rifles? For what? Okay, we've got to make sure, look at Sandy Hook, look at these places where the children have been killed in school with these weapons at Las Vegas. This is crazy. We've got to put some controls, some good controls on these gun control. I mean, really gun control. There must be some controls. And anyone, I mean, I know this is America, but we got to make sure that if somebody, let me say this, if somebody is suffering from mental issues, they should not be allowed to purchase a weapon. You know what I'm saying? They should not, because we don't know what they're going to do. One thing that bothered me is that young man in oh gosh, it was recently. He was it was a demonstration. I can't remember the city, but he was 17 years old. He came from another state. I think he had an AR-15, and he killed 2 people. I mean, that's senseless. And his mother brought him across state lines with a weapon. You know, boy, we really need gun control. We do. We need sensible gun control, okay? And we need to have stakeholders that have an interest in making sure that our children stay safe, that people stay safe. We need to also make sure that if people are going to purchase a gun, they get proper training on that weapon, okay? So, like I said, guns don't kill people, people kill people. We need to make sure we put some things in place to protect everyone. Too many killers in these schools. Too many of our children have. Yeah.
And for my final question, I'm going to ask a question that a lot of Georgians and a lot of Americans, I think especially during the times of after the incidents of the Breonna Taylor verdict, Jacob Blake, George Floyd, there are a lot of people that are really, really angry about what's happened, and there are many peaceful protests. There are a lot of peaceful protests.
Yes.
A lot of protests that have maybe turned not so peaceful. What is your opinion on those protests?
Well, you know, we have the right, constitutional right to assemble, okay? And I believe we should. I believe there has been an awakening by people of all backgrounds to the injustices that have occurred in America against minorities, especially Black men and even women, okay? So I am for the protest, the peaceful protest. Unfortunately, I am not for the looting, the tearing up of the buildings, because a lot of times they're tearing up their own in their neighborhoods. I am not for that, okay? But also, we have agitators that come in from other places. So what they want to do is make it look like the peaceful protesters are the ones that's tearing up everything, and when there's been agitators planted there to do that, to make it look like that. But I believe we should have protests, and people are beginning to listen because it's serious. And like I said, you got Black, white, green, yellow, LGBTQ, everybody standing up for these injustices in this country, you know, and we're all supposed to be created equal. And the Constitution is supposed to protect all of us, but our rights, people's rights are being constantly violated, and that should not be. I have participated in numerous peaceful protests throughout Southeast Georgia, and I will participate in more.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time. Before we sign off, is there anything else you'd want to say?
Well, if anyone is on that's from Georgia, from my district, first district, look me up on the website. It's griggsforcongress.com. Look us up. My phone number, if you just want to talk, ask me questions, is 912-316-6009. I am the better candidate. I have the heart for the people. I will work for the people. It's not about money for me. And too many of them have gone to Washington, and it has become nothing but about money. As a matter of fact, I want to point out that my opponent is a pharmacist. He is the only pharmacist in Washington, D.C. And guess what it's saying? You would think that they would be fighting for lower prescription drug costs, okay? And also that we stop importing drugs from China and other places that we make them here, because we import them from China and put these high price tags on them for the American people. And also drugs from China, a lot of them have been tainted. They've been hurting people. They've been killing people. For example, I know this personally. I have a friend who was on high blood pressure medication from China. And so the doctors, there was an alert that went out through the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, said stop taking this particular high blood pressure medication. It has been tainted. So we've got to be careful, okay? But in any event, and also they've taken money from corporate PACs. I mean, they're stacked with monies from corporate PACs. No, we don't have a lot of money because I have not, and I refuse to take money from corporate PACs because they will not buy me, because I'm not there for these corporations. I am going to Washington for the people to make a difference for them. And the people in the first congressional district need a strong voice in Washington who will articulate their needs. And I am that strong voice. I was born a servant. I am a servant, and serving is what I do. Vote Joyce Marie Griggs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all that have watched. Miss Griggs' website will be in the description below. And
Okay.
once again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And you all have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.